In this video, we are going to do code review for the basket microservices into our e-commerce application. This is also ASP.NET Core Web API application to expose RESTful APIs to the client application over the API gateway to perform the CRUD operations, and using Redis as a key value pair database to store the basket and basket items. And also Basket API has two different integration. The first one is synchronous integration with the discount gRPC. This will be invoke and consume discount gRPC service for inter-service synchronous communication to calculate product final price into the shopping cart when updating the basket. And also Basket API using the asynchronous communication, publishing the basket checkout queue to the RabbitMQ using the mesh transit library, and this will be start to publish subscribe pattern and asynchronous communication that will consume and subscribe from the ordering microservices. So Basket API also expose Swagger Open API and writing the Docker file, and we have including the Docker Compose file in order to up and running all these containers and Docker images. So now let's start to examine this Basket API. If you open the services and expand the basket and open the basket.api, here you can see our basket microservices folder structure. This is also going to follow layered architecture, that is the controllers and also repositories folder, and we are using the Redis communication into repository folder as a data layer. So now let me explain from the controllers folder. If you expand this folder, you can see that we have one basket controller.cs file. This is going to expose APIs from the basket microservices to the external world. If you scroll down, you can see that we have set of HTTP method that we expose. This is the HTTP get method with username, get basket with username. This is going to get basket item from the Redis database according to filtering the username and return back to the basket JSON object. And if you scroll down, you can see the HTTP post request, but this is the update basket operation. In the body of this HTTP post request, it is expecting that shopping cart JSON object, and this is going to iterate for each item into the basket items and integrate synchronous integration with the discount gRPC in order to get latest price, latest discount from the discount microservices and calculate the latest price according to these coupon information. And after that, it is updating the basket with using the repository object. And another HTTP method is delete. This is going to delete a specific basket into the Redis database with a given username, and this is performing HTTP delete operation. And another operation is very important for our publish, subscribe and asynchronous communication, which is the checkout basket method, and this is the HTTP post method, and this is our main use case, and it is also getting from the basket checkout JSON object that perform these several tasks into this method. I will explain during this video. So let me start with the one by one. So the important one is in here update basket. As you remember that in the basket microservices we said that there is a synchronous gRPC communication between basket and discount. This will happen when the updating the basket, and in the updating basket we basically iterating the basket items. For every item we are retrieving latest discount information from the discount microservices with using discount gRPC service. So this service is accommodate for the gRPC communication. We can expand the discount gRPC, and you can see that this is the implementation of the client object for the gRPC protobuf file, and basically we will integrate with the discount microservices to get discount from the discount microservices. We are preparing to get discount request and send these requests to the discount proto service. If you go to discount client service, you can see that there is a generated protobuf file, C# file that we can integrate with the gRPC application. So if you go back to our main basket controller, you can see that we basically get the latest discount information and update the item price and update the basket with using the repository object. So this is the synchronous communication that we are going to handle into our application. For the repository object, as you remember that in the repository object we basically provide the basic operations for the business layer. This is the get basket, update basket, and delete basket. And if you open the implementation of basket repository, this is our business layer, and this is using the Redis cache, which is the distributed cache from the configurations. We basically perform these database operations using the Redis cache object. So here you can see that we are get string async or set string async to perform get set operation in the Redis key value database. We basically key setting to getting string from the key as a username and get the basket as a JSON object, and deserialize this object and return back the as a shopping cart. And as the same way, we are going to update the basket with setting string username and as a whole JSON of the basket object. So these are the CRUD operations that we are following and performing with using repository and distributed cache object. So if you go back to our main controller class, you can see that we have finished the update basket operation. And if you scroll down, the main operation is in here, basket checkout operation, and this is the HTTP post method that triggered the publishing basket checkout queue with using mass transit and publishing event to the RabbitMQ event bus, and this will be subscribed from the ordering microservices. That means we have applied publish subscribe pattern in this method. So we have set of actions in the beginning of the method. This is starting with the get existing basket with total price from the basket microservice, and after that we are going to set the total price of basket checkout event message, that is creating a basket checkout payload when sending the event. So after that, in this line of code, you can see that we basically publishing event to the RabbitMQ event bus with sending this event message. So this line of code will be start the asynchronous communication with publishing event to RabbitMQ, and after publishing the event we are going to remove the basket, because when we are publishing the event, that means this order is starting and basket is removing, and ordering process, order fulfillment process will be start with publishing this event. So this is the asynchronous communication that we have learned in this method. And after that, let's examine the other folders in this basket microservices. You can see that we have entities. In the entities folder we have shopping cart and shopping cart item entity object, which representing in the Redis database key value pair objects. And here you can see the basket checkout. This is the event JSON object that we are going to sending and publishing to event bus that will consume from the ordering microservices. And after the entities we have gRPC services. As you said before, this is the synchronous communication and client generated client class from the protobuf file and using the Google libraries. This will provide to us trigger and invoke this discount gRPC in our basket microservices. And here you can see the related mapping objects, and we have already learned the basket repository business layer. And after that, as you can see that we have application settings. In the application settings we are set of settings, for example cache settings for connecting the Redis database, and gRPC setting to connect to discount gRPC microservices, event bus settings in order to publish the RabbitMQ for the event, and also we have Serilog implementation, which is the distributed logging, and Elasticsearch configuration to push the logs into the Elasticsearch. And if you scroll down, you can see Docker file. Docker file is provide to building this application as a Docker container image, and program.cs is the starting point of this ASP.NET web application. And in the startup CS there is a set of configurations when bootstrapping this web application. If you come to configure services, you can see that this is the Redis configurations that we are going to connect the Redis as a database into our basket microservices when application startup. And also here we can see the dependency injection, inject these repository object when the bootstrapping the application. And also here you can see the gRPC configuration that is going to connect to gRPC, and we are creating a gRPC client from this URL that will provide to communicate synchronous communication as a performant way with the discount and gRPC microservices. Here you can see the mass transit configurations. Mass transit is a library to facilitate to RabbitMQ operations into the ASP.NET applications. That's why we have set of communications about the RabbitMQ and mass transit in here. And we are exposing APIs, and we are adding the health checks with looking the Redis database up and running. So the startup class is also finished. So that means we have finished the basket microservices with all integrations. In the next video, we are going to examine discount gRPC.